Good motion. Meeting will come to order. The time is 6:03 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett? Here. Mrs. Hanson? Here. Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Mortensen?
Here.
Mr. Tadolini?
Here.
Mr. Winsheimer?
Here.
Mr. Chard?
Here. We do have a quorum. I do want to announce for the record that we do have one board member, Brandy Hanson, that's joining us remote. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda with the exception of an amendment, and that would be moving number 4 to follow the executive session at number 7 immediately.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda and amend the agenda to move community comment number 4 to immediately follow the executive session. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett?
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen?
Aye.
Mr. Tadolini?
Aye.
Mr. Winsheimer?
Aye.
Mr. Chard?
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett?
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen?
Aye.
Mr. Tadolini?
Aye.
Mr. Winsheimer?
Aye.
Mr. Chard?
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business would be the DAC report.
That's me. All right. Okay, so we started the meeting with celebrations, and there was a recognition. They put Mrs. B at Thompson. Who, can I say, what's the last name of that? That's the next one. Anybody know who Mrs. B is? Okay.
Lady?
Anyway, yes, and her upbeat attitude at pickup and drop-off, parents specifically mentioned her. We also had celebrations about State Science Fair, which you guys are going to hear about in a minute. FFA and all their success and the leadership of the teacher of that program and the success of the track and field team. Then we went over our goal review of the things we've been working on. There have been newsletters posted around town to kind of help the community increase that in community engagement, so they know kind of what we're up to as a district and know when they want to be a part of things and what we're up to. We just reviewed the budget recommendations to the school board. We went over that last week. And there were building reports. Thompson Primary has their mother-son dances upcoming and lots of field trips. And when step up to 3rd grade, they're going to do that this year. Beaver Valley had a really successful literacy night. I think Mr. Singley said like 90 attendees or something. It was a lot.
572.
Oh boy, that was really, yeah, lots of people came to literacy night, one of their best. So they're finishing up with CMAS testing, and Ameritown is upcoming, which is an awesome experience for the 5th graders. Secondary campus, they're almost done with CMAS. FBLA state is this week. FFA is getting ready to go for state. Catering is completing their competitions. I think they have 1 or 2 more. There's some barbecues upcoming, and they're doing an 8th grade graduation this year, so that's cool. So 8th grade's not going to be part of the step up. They're actually going to do an actual graduation for those students, which is kind of neat.
That's good.
Then Mrs. Cody went over the Leadership Academy, which they're doing for people who might be interested in joining the board, and encourage us all to either come or to also talk to people who might be interested, which I think is a really neat way to help people understand what it's like to be a board member. There'll be up to four that are either running or are going to be open this year. And it'll be the Leadership Academy will be the 23rd. So, we're also doing the stakeholder trust survey, so we all just kind of looked over that, and some people, people made a couple suggestions on that. So, that's about it. Any questions? Right, it was a really productive meeting, so. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Next item of business, celebrations. Mrs. Cuddy, do you have any celebrations before we introduce the guests that we have?
I do, let me pull them up real quick, excuse me for just one moment.
While we're waiting, I'll just repeat a shout out from Coach Middlemist. He sent a message out today from, just to give props to BMS track athletes that helped with the BHS track meet this weekend, and he was very thankful. I just wanted to reiterate that's a great example of positive leadership culture that we're striving for in Brush. So that was good to see that come through.
I would agree, I was able to attend the high school track meet on Saturday and was impressed with how it was run, and the field, everything looked really nice, so appreciated that. Also want to highlight the Wizard of Oz performances. I was able to attend Thursday night, opening night. Wow, what a spectacular show. So students and staff that put a lot of hours into memorizing a lot of lines and the singing, it was excellent. I also want to shout out, we have a couple of book clubs taking place with our administrators and also with our leadership team. And one particular I want to shout out is one of our assistant principals, David Muller, is leading a principal book club on Wednesdays. And then we have an instructional coaching book club where we have several teachers on there. And I have just greatly appreciated the conversations, the passion for instruction, the heart to improve instruction, to improve teaching and learning, and to support teachers who need and want to grow. So super exciting. I'm going to go into one of those teachers' classrooms tomorrow to observe. She has invited me. I didn't even force myself. And then she invited me to come in during her planning period to debrief. So just appreciate that. The last one before the big one, before Science Fair, is we received really good news last week. And sometimes we just need some really good news. And a really piece of good news is that Lindsay Kimball, who oversees our October count and a lot of our reporting, found out she had to complete these long surveys for pupil count, CD40, a lot of those, and she spent a lot of December working on that. Based on those surveys, we do not have to do any type of documentation audit for pupil count, at-risk count, funding, or transportation CDE 40. That is a huge, huge win. You just have no idea. If you've been through a pupil count, you know what a big win that is, and you probably have heard me talk about it, worry about it, so that was huge. So celebration and just appreciation for all of our work and the work that's gone into that. So yay for that. And then the big one, the big celebration that we're so excited about is Mr. Stone, our high school science teacher. So I'm going to ask that he come up and he can introduce the students. So excited for all the hard work they did and the great work, what they accomplished at state.
Well, thanks for having us. We appreciate you supporting Science Fair, and we've got a long-standing tradition of Science Fair in Morgan County. It's been 70 years with the start of Elmer Bernath, and just happy to continue to be part of it. Proud of these kids. We showed Brush proud, and I'm just super excited because you can go through some of these award ceremonies at CSU and not hear a name, and it can be tough. And this year we had over a dozen special awards, and we had 2 place winners, I'm just super proud of these kids, and we just appreciate your support. So I'm going to let them share. We do have a few that cannot be here they've got tennis and some other things, but sure, proud of these guys, and I think you'll enjoy their presentation. So.
And Mr. Tony, you'll just let me know when I should
bet.
forward this slide,
You
or
bet.
if you want to forward it,
You
you're
betcha.
welcome to too.
You can go ahead.
Okay.
So you guys can go ahead and come on up. So I think they'll just introduce themselves and tell you a quick presentation and kind of what they got. So.
Fantastic.
My name is Emily Andujar, Emily Canada, and we did how does UV light affect the protection of different brands of sunscreen. So we tested 3 different brands. We tested Neutrogena, Equate, and Banana Boat, and they all had the same SPF, which was 50, and we put them on 3 bell peppers. They were all yellow bell peppers.
We put them under UV light for 7 days, 2 hours each day,
had shocking results. We hypothesized that Neutrogena was going to do the best, and we were proven wrong. Neutrogena did the worst, and Banana Boat did the best. And Equate was like in the middle, it was like in between. But we were like shocked at the results because Neutrogena is like a #1 like doctor recommended product, and we thought it was gonna like win for sure. We're like show the best results.
So we've learned a lot from this project, and we're just excited to do it.
And a judge came up to us and she was explaining how her sister is a scientist and she actually studies about Neutrogena and how Neutrogena actually causes cancer.
Okay.
Throw away the nutrition.
I'm a banana boat girl from now on. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Wow.
Good job.
Great.
Does anybody have any questions?
Did you win any awards?
Yes, we made a total of $325 together. Like, there's another group member, her name's Benita, but she wasn't able to make it. But we all, like, in total, we all made $325.
We won 2
Cool.
awards.
Very good.
Thank you.
Nice job, Emily.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
My name is Connor Stone,
Oh, I'm Evelyn Lapp.
and our name is, our project is installation investigation, and we decided to do the project because we had hail take out our windows. Sorry, I just came back from track practice.
You want some water? You're welcome to some.
Sure. So we hired a contractor to do our windows. And so he decided to put a window, so he would have the window fin that he would put on, and then he would put the butyl tape to seal that, and then he said that we wouldn't have to have the spray foam because it would seal it by itself. And yeah.
So we predicted that the window that we put spray foam in would be the most energy efficient because it creates the most resistance to airflow.
So for our first test, we did it at 6 a.m. and then we also did it at 9 p.m. So we decided to do that because we wanted to do it when there was no light out, so it would be dark either way. So for the first window that we had, it had brick on the outside, so they couldn't put the smart trim on it because then you would be nailing into the brick. And then the second type of window would be the one that would have the butyl tape, the smart trim, and the fin on it. And then for the third window, that we decided to put foam in by ourselves. So it would have all the same things as the second type of window, but we decided to add the spray foam.
So the first window that just had the brick around it was the least energy efficient because it flowed with the temperature of outside the most. And then the next windows with a little bit more flowed with the temperature a little bit, but they were able to stay a little bit better. And the final window with spray foam remained a constant line and was much better.
So we concluded that our hypothesis was correct because the spray foam did a lot better than the other windows because it has a higher R value, which is the resistance of heat transfer. And so we recommend if you were to insulate your windows that you would push the contractor to make them put spray foam in your windows.
And then after our project, we put spray foam in all the windows and retook data points, and they were all like pretty similar and more constant. The bottom graph, it's hard to see, but they show like the same line.
Hey, Mr. Lorenzini, did you hear that?
We're actually going to retain them as consultants for Beaver Valley.
We're replacing some windows soon, so this is timely. Appreciate the advice.
Amazingly.
And don't forget forget to put your sunscreen on when you're doing it.
That is excellent. Any questions?
So the awards that we won, we had 2 special awards, and then we placed 3rd in our division of energy. So we had a total of $350.
Great
Excellent.
job.
That's awesome.
That is excellent.
Good job,
Congrats, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maddie is unable to join us, but let's see. Turn that back here. So Maddie had, it's not Mike Tyson, but it's still a siphon. So she tested a siphon, different type of siphon, and she got an award of $100 for, it was a special award from a community member, so really proud of her as well. So.
Very cool.
I'm Dylan Curtis. I'm Hector Vigania. And then our partner, Mia Ring Hall, couldn't make it today. And our project was modeling the flight paths of conical meteorites.
So about 1/4 of meteorites that crash down on Earth are found cone-shaped. They're often rounded. And our project was to determine how the flare or angle of the cone would impact its flight path through the atmosphere.
Yeah, and so to set up, we made a water tank that measured about 1 foot by 2 feet tall. And to make the cones, we cut out a certain arc of a circle from 70 degrees to 210 degrees, and then you could roll them up and tape them together to get an actual cone. And then we remeasured the flare and determined that they were around 22 to 70 degrees of actual flare.
Our initial hypothesis was that the 70-degree cone would be most stable because it would be less impacted by the water resistance. And that ended up being almost inverted, with the 210-degree cone being the most stable, because the smaller degree cones would be so top heavy and the weight distribution would be so horrible that it would just topple over almost immediately from water level.
And yeah, then in the future, we'd probably like to test different viscosities of liquids and expand the amount of cones that we tested. And we won a special award from the Little Shop of Physics for excellence in physics, I think. And we got some physics research, and we got some trinkets and stuff.
Very cool.
Place some great photos.
How interesting. That's fascinating. What inspired you to test meteorites?
Well, I've always been interested in astronomy, and I guess it kind of pushed that on.
Is this something you want to continue to study further?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a good project in the future, but there's also tons of different other stuff to explore.
Well done.
What type of material did you use to build your cones?
We used air-dried clay for all of them. And, oh yeah, they each weighed roughly 4.1 grams to minimize the variables. I don't know if he says that.
Very cool.
Well done.
Let's see, these guys are at a tennis tournament, so I guess the gist of this is that this is a lake that just released a bunch of CO2 into the atmosphere kind of spontaneously. The CO2 went into the valley below and killed the entire town. And so they wanted to kind of propose a theory which has been done a little bit in the past, but they had come up with a way to kind of prove their theory behind it. And so a really neat project on there. These guys had close to $400 in prizes on their project, so proud of them as well. So great project.
My name is Carson Stone, and our project is called Water Tower Power, and it's based on a system called pump storage hydropower, which is traditionally used with two reservoirs. The lower reservoir has a pump in it, and it pumps water up to the upper reservoir, and then it flows down into a turbine that generates electricity. And we wanted to implement that in a tower system, so like a water tower, so we could have it in an off-grid home, because most houses can't have two reservoirs in their backyards. So we had a 10-volt pump from Amazon, and we pumped it up 15 feet ahead into our 50-gallon barrel, and it drained down into our 10-volt turbine, and that was charged by a 50-watt solar panel, and we used 14-gauge wire for less friction loss, and we got about 6 watts of power, and we found that if we had probably 10,000 gallons and 50 feet ahead, we could get around 500 watts of power. And so this could be used in the future for hotels and like housing systems for good energy. This is also a great way to store solar power for when solar power is not available, so you can use it at night when you can't use solar power, and it's pretty much a non-corrosive, just environmentally friendly batteries. Really cool. My partner wasn't able to make it. We got first place in our category of energy in senior division, and we got 4 special awards, and we got $900 and a $100 sponsor award from my dad. And we also got invited to the International Science Fair in Columbus, Ohio. So.
That is very fantastic.
It's great news, yeah.
Any questions?
That's awesome.
Thank you guys.
I have
Great
lots
job.
of questions, but anything else to share, Mr. Stone or Mrs. Stone?
I don't think so. We appreciate you guys supporting the fair. I'm proud of these guys, and I mean, it's a blast. We had a blast between staying in the hotels and going out for barbecue, and these guys are a lot of fun to be around. So anyway, I appreciate you guys' support in the fair, and continue to be excited to see where this heads in the future. So thanks again.
Absolutely, and I want to say thank you so much, because it takes a lot of work just to oversee one science fair project. And so each one of these, and just keeping track of all the work that went into that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. May we take a picture with the board and students and sponsors?
Absolutely.
Just real quick.
And,
Okay.
yeah, and I mean, we've got, obviously Miss Minor, a big part of it, and Brandy Belfi is another part of it, and Cindy Aldo as well.
So you got to join in. So maybe, should we go over there? Would that be easiest? If you wouldn't mind, did you see where that check was? Just over there, and the board will see it behind you. I will take a picture. I'll just take a picture. I'm better on this side of the camera. I totally. Yes, Mr. Stone, most definitely. I'm good being on this side. Mrs. Stone, I know you were working on this.
I was just a supervisor.
Great.
like this, well, we
Okay, ready?
I don't tip those.
1, 2, 3. Excellent. Thank you all so much for being here and sharing about your projects. Well done.
Great job, guys. Good job. Thanks for coming out tonight. Are there any other celebrations that anyone would like to share?
Yeah, I'll just give a shout out to the brush baseball team. Something I've done the last several years is extend an offer to one of our high school athletic teams to come do a task at my farm that I don't like to do, and is much easier with multiple hands, which is shoveling out my concrete ditch, getting it ready for the spring. And brush baseball team came Saturday morning and did that, and I didn't count them all, but there had to be at least 30 kids. Or I think Tom told me that there was only 2 of the baseball team that could not make it of the whole program, so just want to give them a shout out because they made short work of a not very fun
Big
job.
projects.
That's awesome.
And,
That's great.
I'll
Win-win.
make a contribution to their program,
Very cool.
a donation to their program for doing so.
That's awesome. Great students.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very respectful kids, and they got after it.
It's good.
Good. Very good.
Any other celebrations?
That was the fun part.
Yeah. Next item of business, executive session. Is there a motion to enter executive session?
I, Lacey Garrett, move that the Board of Education go into executive session pursuant to 24-6-402, Section 4, subsection B, C.R.S, for conferences with Attorney Steve Everall for the purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions regarding the status of the hail damage claims. Those present shall be members of the Board of Education. The board may also include Mr. Chris Tremaine, Mrs. Marsha Cody, Mr. Steve Everall, Mr. Jamie Lorenzini, and Mrs. Lacey Smith.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded to enter executive session. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen, Mr. Tadolini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll move to Mrs. Cody's office for executive session.
I did tell our administrators they don't have to stay, so they're going to depart. Encourage them they don't. It's going to be a long night, so.
So,
This one.
yep.
Okay.
But I need this as soon as you're done.
Paul, you're on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Is there a motion to return to open session?
I, Lacey Garrett, move that the Board of Education leave executive session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to leave executive session. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. The time is now 8:20 PM and the executive session is concluded and we return to the open meeting. The participants in the executive session were Mrs. Lacey Garrett, Mrs. Brandy Hanson, Mr. Bryson Miller, Mr. Brad Mortensen, Mr. Sean Tadalini, Mr. Derek Wincheimer, Mr. Paul Chard, Mr. Steve Everall, Mrs. Marcia Cody, Mr. Jamie Lorenzini, and Mrs. Lacey Smith. For the record, there was, yeah, we missed.
Did we miss?
Chris Tremaine was also present.
Yes.
For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Hearing none, the executive session is concluded, and I will ask Lacey Garrett to report on the executive session.
The Board of Education went into executive session to discuss and have a conference with our attorney, Steve Everall, for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific questions regarding, legal questions regarding the hail damage claims that we have that are ongoing. Sorry, my brain is done.
Okay, if there's no objections, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. You're doing good, Sean. You're doing good. We'll resume our meeting now. Next item of business is community comment. We have Bailey Wacker here to, for public comment. The board welcomes the comments of our community members. Speakers must sign in prior to the start of the meeting. They must limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. In deference to BSD students, students will be allowed to speak first during the first comment section. Following any student speakers who wish to comment on an agenda item will be called in order of their sign-up. We greatly value all comments from the public, but in order to adhere to board policy and accomplish the work already on the agenda, the board will not respond at this meeting. Speakers may offer appreciation for or criticism of school operations and programs as concerned, but are encouraged to exercise their speech rights responsibly, as they are personally responsible for any legal consequences attributable to their comments, including claims for defamation. Please keep in mind that students may attend board meetings. Speakers' remarks, therefore, should be suitable for an audience that includes kindergarten through 12th grade students, including no use of profanities or obscenities. Comments concerning personal matters should be directed to the superintendent or board president in writing with your signature. The board president will recognize each speaker and may interrupt, warn, or terminate a speaker's statement that is unrelated to the business of the school district, inappropriate for pre-K through 12 students, or disruptive in an orderly, civil, and productive meeting. Thank you for your cooperation.
I'm Bailey Wacker. I want to thank you for the time you're giving me tonight. I have been terminated from my position at Brush School. Can you take one and pass it around, please? Thank you for meeting with me, Ms. Cody. I do appreciate it, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity for being a part of the Brush School District. It has truly been an honor. What I have handed out to you tonight is a letter from our Brush High School track coach, Chance Middlemiss. I feel like that my termination has been wrongfully done. I have been promoted this year from a para position. I've taken on more opportunities. I've applied for more positions to be involved with the kids. And I truly think I do make a difference in these kids. Took on more time to deal with track. We just had a little baby. And I do everything paperwork-wise, organizing-wise for our track team. I coached a champion medley team last year. And I just wanted to see if I could appeal Mrs. Cody's decision on my termination. And if so, how long do I have to do so? I've helped out in many ways with basketball gates, football gates. I took on a kind of like a teaching position. I facilitate online courses, and I have been open with parents. Anytime they want to meet with me, I have no problem. Mr. Mahler has sat in on a parent-teacher conference with me and said I handled myself very well. And I think I'm a really good fit for our school district. And I wanted our kids to grow up here. We have my husband's family around here. And family and school education mean a lot to me. My husband would like a few comments as well.
I didn't sign the paper, so I don't know if I can or not. If not, I'll just come to the next meeting and we'll do it there.
Does anybody have any objections? 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Well, Keith Wacker, Chris and Debbie Wacker out there, that's my aunt and uncle. I lived with them from the time I was 19 until I turned 23, working on their farm and helping them out around there. Just give some backstory of why I would like my kids to go here is because my dad graduated from here. all of his siblings did. And just really important thing to me is coming back to this school, but it is as it is. So I read through your guys' bylaws and everything, and there is an appeal process for anything to do with a sexual assault case, because she didn't say what it's for, but we went and talked to the police department first off, because Ms. Cody told us that Bailey would be charged with failure to report, which is a misdemeanor crime. Went to the police department, talked to them. They have no such record of Bailey being charged with any type of crime or any report for Bailey, so I would like that to be noted in all the reports or all the minutes. And if you're not willing to appeal Mrs. Cody's decision or just give us the ability to go for an appeal, she's been fired. We're not gonna give you guys a resignation, so she needs her paycheck. She's been fired. That's state law. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Cody will be in touch with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item of business, board reports. Are there any board reports at this time?
I will keep it brief. Preschool Policy Council met. She did say there's going to be, or there is in place right now, a nationwide freeze on Head Start funding. It's not affecting our district at this time, which is a great thing. There's hopes that it won't touch us at all because the deadline is like the 30th of September. Anyway, hopes that it stays the same, nothing happens there. They sent out parent surveys asking a few different questions. I'm not going to get into that. 68 of our 70 slots are currently filled. They are doing transitions right now, so the 4-year-olds are going into the kindergarten classrooms. I think they're on week 4 of that, and that was back at the beginning of the month. And second round of home visits with Mrs. Suter. So that's what I've got.
Anyone else have any board reports?
Brandy,
Brad?
do you have one for the BOCES? Oh, she can hear.
Okay. Do you want to speak a little bit about the motion later in the meeting as a board report, Brad?
About the water right, you
For at
mean?
least, yeah, just some explanation there.
We have an opportunity to lease this share of water out because we don't take delivery of the water ourselves. We don't have the ability to. So it would just bring a little bit of money back to the school district, and we still maintain ownership of it, and it's only a 1-year lease. So next year we can reevaluate, do whatever we want next year.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? Any other board reports? Okay, superintendent's report.
All right, so tomorrow night, not tomorrow night because it's only Monday, sorry. It feels like Tuesday, but it's Monday. On Wednesday, we do have our Beat Digger Leadership Academy. This is for potential board members that may want to run in November. I would ask that you get the word out, help us get the word out. We'll have food available. It'll start at 5:30. We have posted it as a work session, so any board members are welcome to come. Mrs. Garrett and Mr. Chard will be on a panel discussion. They'll just be asked questions by Mrs. Sherry Lynch. And it's just an opportunity to learn what it means to be a board member. Why is it so important? What is it from their perspective as well? So again, that's Wednesday at 5:30. In July, we'll have a second meeting that will talk more about the campaign and petition and affidavit and all of that. So there will be a second session. You don't have to attend one or to attend the second, but I would highly recommend we get as many people to attend as possible and learn about our district. That is a big election. On Thursday is our FFA banquet. That is also posted as a work session. We have been invited to arrive at 6 p.m., so if you can come, please do. It's a big night, and they do a great job. I've been so impressed with FFA. In June, we need to have a work session. That will be for my evaluation, contract, review of strategic plan, and governance goals. So if you would look at your June calendars, it could be morning. It doesn't have to be on, 2 days. We're just talking like a regular work session, a couple of hours. So I don't know if we want to decide that now or if you want to save that. We can decide in May. I just don't want the calendars to get filled up because I know life gets busy in June.
Could you just maybe send an email out?
Okay.
And try to
We
get
will
some
do that.
dates figured out?
Absolutely. I'll
Are
just.
we planning to have a retreat?
We're going to move that to December
Okay.
after the board election. So this will just be the work session to do my evaluation and contract and kind of some board goals. It'll be like a little mini retreat, but just a work session. Like a half day, if that would work. A couple of hours, 2 to 3. Is there a day of the week that works best or doesn't work well? Because I could do Saturdays too, if that's easier or better, worse. I just don't know. I'm just trying to get a feel. Does it matter?
Weekends are tough for me.
Okay, we'll just work on Monday through Friday. Are evenings better or mornings?
Evening would be better for me, but.
Evenings? Okay,
Evenings
I'll just send a
for me.
regular evening work session time. Probably like on a Monday or something, just to be consistent, if that's okay with the board. All right. I know you feel like you've talked about facilities a bit because we did have an executive session about storm damage, but there's more. Oh yes, there's more. So Mr. Lorenzini and I have updated that BSD facility spreadsheet. Because it's late, I'm not going to go through it step by step by step. So things to be grateful for. Couple things I am going to highlight, and I do need to take some time on some of these because they're action items. And a few other pieces that I need you to be aware of. We did have Mr. Everall review the design build contract that went through a couple of iterations. That RFQP is out. We had our first site walk on Friday. Mr. Lorenzini led that. We did have somebody from NV5 on site. And we do have our 2 board members elected for the interview for in May for that. So you have those timelines. The BSC arena and middle school gym refinish floors for $17,450 and the Ox resurface floor for $26,820. Those are currently scheduled for July 7th through the 11th. That is an action item. That is the amount that Ponder quoted us last summer, and they said they'll hold to that quote. So they said there's no new quote needed. TPS warming oven, it decided to give out. It is a replacement cost of $6,009. And then 8 Beaver Valley cafeteria tables. They have just had their life. I will tell you the latest quote is a little bit less than that. President Chard reached out and had an idea about the delivery fee. Ms. Ledgate contacted them today and negotiated it. It's about $1,000 less. So if you'll just send that motion, whenever you make your motion, just say a maximum of, just know it'll be about $1,000 less. And if you make the motion and it's under, we're still okay because you've approved that amount. I meant to send that to you and the day just wasn't, it just didn't work out. So, but I can.
Can't imagine why.
It was a full win. So greenhouse update. So we did retain a structural engineer to update the coding for our greenhouse. So that is in place. We should have those structural plans soon. Stadium lighting. We now have an official quote. We're moving forward with Better Electric. That's going to be about $3,500 to get the stadium lighting done. So we're moving forward with that permitting, and we should be good to go there. TPS back parking lot lights. I sent this to you in an end of week update. You can see the cost there. That is for the similar light, same company that did our stadium lights, Qualight being that same company that provided the stadium lights. This would be a light that projects onto that back parking lot. It could be set on a timer and turned on and off through that same app that controls our stadium lights. So, Mr. Lorenzini, anything that I missed there?
No, other than it should allow that back half of that practice field to be lit for like a evening practice, or if they go into dark, that's another plus to it, since that's not lit back there. And then it'll be on the same exact pole as the stadium light that's facing the field too. So it's, and it'll be all included under that same not permit, so.
It is not an action item tonight because it's short notice, but that would be an action item for May 19th. And again, that's $16,356, so something for you to consider.
When are they planning on the BBD and Better Electric work happening?
As soon as we give them the thumbs up and set to go.
Okay.
3,500 I can move forward on that
Yeah.
one, and we're planning on it. They have some inspectors slated for that. I haven't given them the go, to move forward with that back parking lot lights yet. You know that. BSC chiller compression failure. So, Mr. Lorenzini, do you want to take this one?
So yeah,
This is why.
so on one of the chillers, the compressor, it failed. I've gone looking into why it failed. They're telling me that they're thinking it's a sensor, a level sensor, or a pressure sensor failed, and then slugged the compressor with liquid and ruined the compressor. They're even opening up an internal investigation. He said he's worked there 7 years and he's only seen it happen twice. He said it was nothing that I specifically said, what could we have done different? And he said nothing. He said it's just crazy that it happened, is what he's telling me. They came out, tore it apart. I looked at the oil. The oil is full of metal. So I know if you do slug those compressors with liquid, it'll shell them out. I've got two other quotes coming because it's fairly expensive. I have been told that the company we had it quoted from is one of the higher ones. So as soon as I get the other two back, I can inform you more. And like I said, it is on the same chiller system that we had. Not the same one, but so there's for the ice makers is what it's doing. It's the ice making unit.
So they're in the superintendent's report. It says that they're recommending changing. Is that oil separator?
So the oil separator, yes.
Yeah, because it's contaminated.
That's
full of
right.
metal.
Yep, it's contaminated. So that's York's recommendation.
Yeah.
You could flush it, but York's the manufacturer, and their recommendation is to replace that as well. So.
Probably have to replace it for warranty purposes, don't you?
Well, I haven't gotten to that deep on it, whether or not, but that could very well be. It was a recommendation, it wasn't. So 2 quotes. There was one for a refurbished, and then there's one for a brand new compressor. And I guess I don't know the answer to that question 100%. Whether if their recommendation is to change it, I'm sure they'd void the warranty if we didn't.
I'm afraid that even if they said it's not going to void the warranty, that if we did have another failure and they found any metal in there, they're going to say it's because you didn't replace that one.
I 100% agree, Paul. I agree with you.
I don't know how you clean that out well enough anyways.
Well, and I don't think you can, that filter bag that's in there, you know what I mean? I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all made in one unit. Like I can't change that filter out.
Okay.
So more to come there with 2 more quotes. The next is the Beaver Valley kitchen exterior doors. These are the ones that we've been written up on from. We think it would be a good way to try out our exterior door plan. So this is not an action item for tonight, but it will be during the May 19th board meeting. BSC repeater update. That you've already approved that. That was a $17,000 action item, so that interior radios will work, like UHF. That does not mean that emergency responders radios will work. However, they can go to, Bobby, do you remember that terminology they used? It was like simple.
Simplex channels.
Simplex channels, and they could use.
Radio to radio communication within the building.
Bobby's an expert with radio, so.
It won't work.
So the equipment that they carry on them, they can switch over and utilize this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just won't communicate back to the police department, but it would be inside the building. Okay.
Right. To do that would be a BDA. It's an amplifier. That's $70,000.
Okay.
So we're not moving forward at this time on anything like that, and that would have to be a partnership or they pay for it or something.
Yeah.
This will allow them to use their radios within the building, and as Bobby and I met with an expert with the school safe grant and just talked about, okay, is there any liability or anything with us not having a BDA, anything there? And they said no, because if an incident were to take place, that person would be stationed outside of the school. That's where incident command would take place. And their radios work there. As long as our radios can work inside, we have radios, they could go to that simplex channel, we would be okay. So, so if you have any questions on that, let me know.
Who all has radios inside the school?
Currently nobody, because they don't work. At the 2 elementary schools, they do have small, like Walmart type of radios. With this repeater, they will be able to have radios. If we receive the school safe grant, then we'll be able to use those radios to connect with whichever emergency responder. And that bridging is most impactful and useful when they're on their way to the site, so you can talk to the ambulance, talk to the police or fire, whomever you need to, and say, hey, it's over in the cafeteria, there's a student, you know. So that's where we would want to be bridged by dispatch to that person.
The other schools use those radios a ton, all the time. They're chattering on them about something, and especially in both end of the day, morning and
All
afternoon.
UHF radios in the schools?
That's where we will be, that's the goal. And it is really, really nice. I mean, whether you're at a track meet or just all day, I'm used to carrying a radio, and that's just how you communicate. You aren't texting and calling people, you're just talking on the radio. And you can say, hey, admin, move to channel 3. Hey, you know, Beaver Valley, I need you to move to channel 4. So.
And the height and amplification, we will be getting, I think there's a small license fee to do the amplification. We will have 10 miles line of sight from the secondary campus.
It's really good.
Thank you, Bobby. All right, initial budget. Oh goodness, it's not because it changed. Okay, I'm just going to tell you, give you a brief overview, and I apologize. Mulligan, next year we're going to have this will be so beautiful. Initial budget, the nice and wonderful news is everything looks, our expenses and revenue for 2010 look very, very even. So with school finance, that's 15% of the 1448 is what is going to the Senate. It's already passed the House, passed the Education Committee prior to that. So we look like we're in a good spot. Again, Mr. Yake has only been on site for about 8 or 9 hours. So in May, with your permission, we'll just spend a nice good portion on that, but that'll be, we won't spend like hours, but we'll go more extensively into that initial budget. So with that timeline, so you have this initial budget, you also have your salary schedules tonight. Those salary schedules will show a 1.5% increase for inflation. That's what you'll see going across the board. It also will correct those certified staff members who were frozen on a step. So that's not depicted obviously on a salary schedule, but it will be depicted in their contracts. Then you'll have that proposed budget in May, and then you can take action on the budget in June. If you have any additional questions, I'm happy to put the template up, what we're working on, the initial template, initial budget up, and we can go through any parts of it that you'd like. We do have it, it's just not linked. So if you would like it, and I apologize for that. Would you like me to, are you okay? Since we're not doing a major increase for salaries.
And we're not taking action on that budget itself tonight.
Right, it's just the
If you
just
want
the
to
salary
just share
schedules.
it with the board tomorrow, fine.
Well, and I was just going to do the summary sheet is what it is.
That's fine.
And I will, if it's okay with the board, I'd like to have Mr. Yake just continue to work on it and then send something to you that's just a little bit more official.
That's fine.
Okay.
We did have a finance committee meeting this month, and Paul and I reviewed some of that stuff, and I'd say it looks it looks better than anything I've seen
Yeah.
my time here, so I think
I'm excited for the board to
there's good
see
things happening there.
what they've done with that, because it's
There's a lot of
extremely easy to read. It's extremely easy for me to make sense of where everything is. They've done a nice job.
And that's, Mr. Yake created the template, and he and Sandy have been working a lot, and then we've been just working, going through line by line by line. So there is an initial budget done, and I did share it with your board president and board treasurer. They did look at that along with the operations statement. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to show it to you after this board meeting too. My apologies for that. Medical benefits, we were going to have a special board meeting on May 5th to approve medical benefits. Those we have tonight. So we do not need to have that board meeting on May 5th unless for some reason you want to. You know, I'm pretty fun to be around. So medical benefits, so the short version, you can click on it. It will look slightly different. It is not gravy, it's called MERP, it's through United. Very similar plan. They'll enroll through the same platform this year that they enrolled through Gravy. It'll be an additional increase of about $48 for an employee, regardless of what plan, or what base plan they have. We took some of the savings there and put that into employee plus child and employee plus family, because otherwise they would have had about a $240 a month increase. We still have some money left over from that for cushion. But those medical benefits, like I said, are the same as Gravy. You'll see, or pretty close to the same. The base plan has a $6,000 family maximum per year, and the buy-up plan has a $2,000 maximum. Comes also, there's vision and dental and all of those that they can purchase as well. Any questions on that? Because I could talk at length and we could go through it, but if you have any questions, very similar to it. Gravy as itself would have been a 17% increase, and you think about that, that would have been 17% increase for both employee and employer every single month, and that would have been a lot, what both pay. Next, certified contract language, we just had legal counsel review it, and so have some just tweaks. This did go to meet and confer. There were no concerns. Mr. Mortensen already spoke on the water lease, and so that's an action item for this evening.
Do we have to, does that have to go out for like bids, like posted bids, when you do something like that, or what?
For the water lease, it can.
Okay.
So if
I didn't know
you-
if it had to, I was just curious.
I haven't sought legal counsel on the water lease, but that could go, I mean, that's something that if as a board you want to table it and you want to say, hey, let's post this and put it out to bid, we can certainly go forward. I don't know, Mr. Mortensen, if there's any timeline or anything we need to follow, or if we
Yeah, I
can
think it
do
needs to
that.
be done fairly soon, but if you wanted to go to bids, I think we could have time to do that.
Okay, we could post it on our website and,
The motion that we're bringing tonight, though, doesn't prohibit us from going to bid with that. It just authorizes the lease of that share.
so we could go forward with that, and then I could come back to the board on May 19th with the name. Is that what you would like me to do? We could put it to bid and then.
Is that soon enough?
How many entities, ditch companies, whatever, could take beneficial use or delivery?
Probably 4.
There's quite a few people that could possibly be interested.
Yeah, there's individuals could lease it
Mhm.
under some systems, not under Morgan Ditch, but
All of us down here could though.
yeah.
Okay, so an individual could lease that. Sure.
So go ahead, so you can consider as a board what you would prefer to do. I can definitely post that. Ms. Smith is very good at posting RFQs. She has become an expert, so we can get that posted.
So also, if you're gonna do that, you need to ask for a bid, I guess, what they're willing to pay. Unless we're gonna put a price on it, but I think probably just ask them to bid on it.
Yeah, competitive bid would be better. Would that, so you feel like would there be value in directly contacting each of those 4 entities and saying,
Yeah, I think it'd probably be good.
call them and
That way
say,
they
hey,
know about
just
it.
a heads up about this?
Does that have to be an RFPQ?
No, it can be done how you want, from my understanding, as long as we're making it public. I mean, probably be transparent.
I don't think the end users of it are gonna, I mean, that an RFPQ scenarios are gonna be like, no.
It's
work.
Not, they're
Waste of
busy.
my time.
We can just post it.
Yeah.
They
But
can notice.
just a simple sealed bid
Yeah.
scenario,
Yeah.
Okay.
like,
And you want it sealed bid that you open on May 19th?
I think that's
I
fair,
think that's
yeah.
the only right way to do it,
Yeah.
in my opinion. There probably needs to be I mean, the lease agreement is very simple, it's a 1-page
Okay.
deal, but there probably needs to be a lease agreement, because I wouldn't give a sealed bid if I hadn't seen the lease agreement.
terms.
Mr. Mortensen, once we have that crafted, can I just shoot it to you tomorrow and then,
Sure.
or Ms. Smith, and that way, just make sure it's stating what it needs to say.
But we can still take action on that tonight with the motion describing that process.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. All right, also as an action item is the 25-26 financial audit engagement letter. It would be with the same audit firm that we engaged with this year. Moving to instruction. So 3 action items are those possible opportunities for revenue. Well, 2 of them are. BSC Beat Digger online program, Mr. Bass talked about this at your work session. And we think there's several students who could benefit from a high quality online program versus ones that I kind of think of catch and release. So we have a plan in place. If you have any questions, happy to answer those. The other is that homeschool enrichment program on Fridays. We have several families who travel to Greeley to engage in that have said yes, if this were available, we would participate. They could also do it intercurricularly. They could engage during the school day through, if they wanted to do an ag sci class and then attend some of the classes on Friday. They just have to make sure that they are scheduled for 90 hours in a semester, and then at minimum of 90 hours. And they would need to register by a certain date, and that would just be an opportunity to gain additional revenue. That revenue, again, is just sitting at the state. It's not that we're taking it from somewhere. Then Aero Lab is not one for gaining revenue, but it's an opportunity for our public school students. So Aero Lab can provide a program for homeschool enriched students, and they can do it in Fort Morgan or they can do it here. That's up to us. If we agree to say, yeah, we want to partner with you, then we can say, all right, homeschool families, you could also partner with them or you could partner with us. But we would do the purchase service through them. And then a portion of those funds would be used to pay for our public school students to attend this program. I was slated to go to Milliken on Friday to go see a family day with this program. Because of the weather, I wasn't able to. But I'm going this Friday, and they're taking me up on a flight, one of the little airplanes in Longmont. So that'll be fun. And they take students up there to get them interested in aeronautics. So I think it'll be interesting. Hopefully it looks like the weather will cooperate, and hopefully it goes well. So I'll let you know next week. No, it will be. So that would also be an action item, not required because programs don't necessarily need board action, but I do want that signal, yes, you support this, or something that you do not support. Next piece, as far as our strategic plan, we have 2 focus areas that we have focused on all year. One is building trust, and the other is high quality instruction. We're continuing with focusing on student engagement with high quality instruction. And with building trust, one of the key pieces right now is our stakeholder survey that did go to DAC, just like, remind just what the person that presented. Nicole Stone, yes, Mrs. Stone, yes, thank you. Mrs. Stone presented, but we are going to make some revisions. I sent that stakeholder survey to 3 of my mentors and asked for feedback, and so they gave me some feedback, so I'm going to revise it, I'll just send it back out, and then I'm hoping to get it out within the next week to week and a half. I just want to make sure we're collecting good data. You'll see the agenda for May 9th, that's our next professional learning day. That will be a contract day. We'll have an all-staff meeting. I'm going to mainly talk about our strategic plan and celebrations during that day. We'll have a special education meeting here at the district office in the afternoon, along with 1338 after that. As far as technology, there is several things here with technology that are action items, and Mr. Murphy's here so he can navigate this because my brain's just a little bit tired. One is to update the update the phones throughout the district, and that is for $13,000. Another is our Chromebook and PC refresh. That would be for 200 Chromebooks. Mr. Murphy and I looked at the refresh plan, looked at our student count, and yes, that's the minimum number to be able to refresh for this year. So that one, you'll see the cost per each unit, and right now we're recommending the Strictly quote. The next piece is our PCs, workstations. From my understanding years ago, not too many years ago, they were removed from classrooms, PCs were. Is that fair to say, Mr. Murphy?
Yes. They were just refurbished machines we got from a company called Firefly, which was purchased by Fair last year. They didn't have any video cards in them, so we couldn't do any video processing. So it kind of left our program a little stagnant. We have in that sense put some in there with video cards in them so they can process video, render video. But we just need a few more. And there's 6 to do one more row in Will Hornbaker's lab for his video production class. And the rest of those could be, will be filled in with mini PCs that can do at least photo editing. And then Daniel Harrell's needs refreshed as well. He's currently using what was left over from the staff refresh last year. They were not really made for that, so. That is all we need right now, yes. We'll see if Mr. Marler wants to get back in animation, we might need a few more, but we'll come to you with that.
And then do you want to talk about the video server too, because you're
Yes,
involved?
so we have, Marcia's seen the list of individual servers. It's very long, and it's a product of them, the initial generation 1 only allowing for about 40 cameras on them. We have 450 cameras, so they this year have released their enterprise model, which allows for 210 cameras. So that will let us consolidate down to fewer servers, which will make tracking individuals a lot easier. Newer features, facial recognition, although there's there's rules going through OIT right now about our ability to use that, but stuff like that. The current servers are getting old and unstable. We had an incident at Beaver Valley, and I had to sit down with Marcia and the individuals involved, and it would go down to the lowest quality possible, like pre-YouTube quality. It's just randomly is getting unstable and not recording, and it does not tell you when it's not doing that. That is could cause some liability issues. If it had not recorded at all during this event at Beaver Valley, that could have been very bad for one of our staff. So we want to alleviate that problem.
Thank you. The next piece, which is not an action item, is for remote monitoring software. So Ms. Murphy would like to move from Atera to Ninja One. However, we're going to pause on moving forward with that because there's going to be a package deal that's coming later. Is that fair to say?
We can bundle with Sentinel-1 endpoint detection response and get a huge slight discount. Both products combined will be just over $15,000. Sentinel-1 on its own for that number is $18,000. So you get a huge discount for doing that. So it's the same price we're paying now for a much inferior endpoint data and detection and response. We'll get more features, and Ninja One will give us a workstation backup, so actual disaster recovery, which we don't currently have.
It'll be similar expenses.
It's $800 more than what we're currently paying. I don't know what it will be next year. Both will be under 5% increase. So I will get that cost comparison once I get quotes for our existing one.
Thank you. All right, so as far as personnel, you have that in front of you. And also the staff assignments. So that's a list of everybody that we're recommending to move forward with, as well as their roles. Any questions so far? You're still awake, you're doing great. You're doing great, better than me. All right, as far as legal, so with Selective, you'll notice a couple things there. So we are continuing to move forward with that negotiation process. And one of the things with Selective is whether to do another set of experts to look at the roof and look at the windows at Beaver Valley. And so just wondering from the board if that's something you want to move forward with, just like a head nod or something you'd like to wait on. So Does that seem okay? Move
Yeah,
forward with
I
that
think-
part? Okay.
I think our legal counsel is in agreement with that too.
Okay. And then with RMCC, just there is an action item, that, and I say possible because you could table it, you could move forward with that. Another piece of legal is a retainment of legal counsel. So we're still keeping our legal counsel, Holly Ortiz, still keeping our legal counsel of Steve Everall. So we're still working with them. I don't want to cause any confusion. And there's some situations going on with current legislation and particularly around parent rights where it would help me to have somebody that I could get another perspective and what are our options around policy. So that's something for the board to consider as well. You signed a letter, we all signed on a letter to CHASA a little bit over a week ago. And with that I reached out to Ms. Ortiz and I reached out to this legal counsel, Mr. Miller, and shared both perspectives to the board, and I think that's valuable. Just how things are going and where we are. So to say, hey, this is something that I think would be beneficial, it'd be a beneficial perspective for me. So something for you to consider. Policy, first readings, GICDE. This is an exhibit to our policy GCID, which is in its third and final reading tonight. This is the professional learning, so this is just the application for that first reading. So we won't discuss it tonight, it's just informational purposes for tonight. So that is there. You can see the original GCID, I did link that in B. The next one is ICICA, is also slated for a first reading tonight. We'll discuss it at the May 19th board meeting. ICICA, you're like, hey, that sounds familiar. I'm sure I've heard of that before. You are correct. This is like your new favorite policy. Well, once you had just finished the final reading of it, and then if we move forward with this online program, to count it for instructional hours, we have to add a couple pieces to it. So Ms. Kimball did reach out to the Colorado Department of Education to find out exactly what we needed added to it so that we can count those hours. So this is for our first reading. We'll discuss it in May. And just think of it as one that you love. IHCDA is in a second reading tonight. That is your concurrent policy. IHCDAR is the regulation to that policy. So if you look at that regulation, there are a few changes that I'm recommending to the board. This is changing the word counselor to principal or designee. We have a college and career advisor and CTE director that she's not a counselor, but she does a great job with college and career advising. And so that would be the designee, could be the designee. So it's just changing that language. And then it talks about eligibility there. So you can look that over. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll also discuss it at the next board meeting. A big one that I want to highlight to you that will be important for you to look at closely over the next month, and just so that you're aware and you can talk to your constituents about it and why, is IKF. This is our graduation requirement policy. I told Mr. Bass he did not need to stay through the entire executive session so he could introduce this policy. So I will introduce it, but he'll be here, of course, on May 19th to talk about it. That will be when we'll discuss it. There's a revision to this policy based on them going from an 8-hour school day. They're wanting to recommend, they've decided as a SLT and as a building to go to a 7-hour, 7-period day. The reason for that is to increase the amount of instructional time, and Mr. Bass will be able to give you those exact minutes and all the conversations that led up to that and why they want to move to a 7-period day. So this would take place as students entered the high school. You would see it doesn't happen automatically and how that would work. Then if you go down below in science, this was something that Mr. Bass had brought up at one time with my superintendent's report when we were first talking about this, and that is increasing the number of science requirements. So going from 4 to 6, this is something we would like to see more students enrolled in those science classes. We had the opportunity to listen to some incredible scientists this evening, and so we want to see that for more and more students. As far as the second reading, the one that is up for discussion is IHCDA. Again, this is the concurrent enrollment policy. And if you recall, at our last board meeting, we had a discussion, so this is the second time it's in second reading. We had a discussion about what if a student did not pass a class. And so what obligations there on the parent? You'll recall we can't charge them tuition, but we can charge them the fees. So we, according to this policy where it is at second reading, we said that we will pay the first $200 of fees will be paid for by the student. After that, we pay it. Some of those CTE classes have some pretty high fees. If they were to fail one of those classes, then we could go back and ask the parent or guardian and actually require them to pay those fees. So that is in this new recommended policy. And then IHCDAR, that one that I just showed you, that regulation has some other pieces around enrolling for additional classes. I did reach out to Michelle Romero. She's the person at CDE in charge of concurrent enrollment, and got her advice on it. And then she said, hey, you can also submit this to the listserv to see what other school districts would like to do. I did send an email to Mr. Bass and Ms. Shield to say, hey, do you want to go forward with this? I did send this policy to Ms. Ortiz on Saturday, but we've had a few other conversations about a few other things. So we will circle back on this before your third and final reading.
Okay.
I'll get that done. Any other discussion? Well, we didn't have discussion because we had discussion at the last board meeting. So any additional discussion about IHCDA? I did not slate it to go on to third reading because I thought it would be nice if that regulation were in tandem with it. So we'll just hold it in second reading and then we'll bring up that regulation so you have them together. All right, your third and final reading is that GCID. Mrs. Smith did a nice job of getting things all cleaned up, took out the markings so you can see just all those changes and how they're put into place. Not up for discussion at this point. Of course, you could either vote or you could table it. You can always also move it back to second reading. And Mr. President, that is all I have. You all survived.
Anybody have any discussion on any of that before we move on? Next item of business, 9.1, BSC gym floors. Is there a motion for 9.1?
I move to approve the resurfacing and refinishing of the gym floors at BSC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resurfacing and refinishing of the gym floors at BSC. Is there any discussion? There is no discussion. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadolini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.2, salary schedules. Is there a motion for item 9.2?
I move to approve the 25-26 salary schedules as presented.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 25-26 salary schedules. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye. Very good.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadolini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.4. Sorry, 9.3. Medical benefits, 25-26 medical benefits. Is there a motion for 9.3?
I move to approve the 25-26 medical benefits as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 25-26 medical benefits as presented. Is there any discussion? There is no discussion. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadolini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.4, certified contract. Is there a motion for 9.4?
I move to approve the contractual language for the Brush School District certified contract.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the contractual language for the Brush School District certified contract. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.5, financial audit engagement letter. Is there a motion for 9.5?
I move to approve the audit engagement letter for the 24-25 fiscal school year audit with R Farmer LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the audit engagement letter for the 24-25 fiscal school year audit with R Farmer LLC. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.6, Pruitt Water Lease. Is there a motion for item 9.6?
I move to approve a one-year lease of one share of Pruitt Reservoir Water and any subsequent leases to be reviewed annually by the Board of Education.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve a one-year lease of one share of Pruitt Reservoir Water and any subsequent leases to reviewed annually by the Board of Education. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.7, BSC Beat Digger Online Program.
I move to approve the implementation of the BSC Beat Digger online program.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the implementation of the BSC Beat Digger Online Program. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.8, Homeschool Enrichment Program. Is there a motion for 9.8?
I move to approve the implementation of homeschool enrichment program.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the implementation of a homeschool enrichment program. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.9, Aero Lab Program. Is there a motion for 9.9?
I move to approve the partnership with Falcon Aero Lab.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the partnership with Falcon Aero Lab. Is there any debate?
I just want to ensure that the proper vetting and things have taken place with this organization, that we're comfortable sending students to them, and everything from insurances to that their program is properly vetting their staff like we would our staff, and so on and so forth.
Okay. I appreciate that, yes. I have done some vetting. I'm going this Friday to learn more. And so there could be the possibility that I'll pull it if I don't see that. So appreciate that directive.
Is there any other?
Marsha, I don't know if you can hear me, but Mr. Brad Miller was familiar with that program as well, so in conversation you might try to check with him as well.
Will do, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other debate? Motion on the table is to approve the partnership with Falcon Aero Lab. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.10, phone quote. Is there a motion for 9.10?
move to approve the Brush Brush School District phone upgrade for $13,820.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the BSD phone upgrade for $13,820. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.11, Chromebook and PC refresh. Is there a motion for 9.11?
I move to approve the Chromebook and PC refresh for the district. There's no line there. Is that good? Okay.
So, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Chromebook and PC refresh. Is there any debate?
I think it's noteworthy that we show some appreciation to Bobby for the time he spent on the document that provides an outline for this board for the refresh plan. And note that to our stakeholders, that though it might seem like we're just rattling through these business items, because of that work and because that's all transparent and forthright to us, available ahead of this meeting, we can have confidence and we have something to follow. So thank you for that, Bobby.
Thank you.
And this is in line with the refresh plan that Bobby provided, just perfectly, so.
So we can see a plan and a year-by-year
Yep.
designation and stuff versus prior experiences that were sometimes just fly-by-night, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
Yep.
Is there any other debate? Motion on the table is to approve the Chromebook and PC refresh. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.12, upgrade video camera servers. Is there a motion for 9.12?
I approve the purchase of ENVRs and HDDs to upgrade the video camera servers and hard drives for a total project cost of $11,340.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of ENVRs and HDDs to upgrade the video camera servers and hard drives for a total project cost of $11,340. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.13, personnel report.
I move to approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel report as presented. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson, Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.14, 25-26 staff assignments. Is there a motion for 9.14?
Move to approve the 25-26 staff assignments as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 25-26 staff assignments as presented. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chard.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.15, RMCC. Is there a motion for item 9.15?
I move that the superintendent, with the input and assistance of legal counsel, be given the direction to file a lawsuit against Rocky Mountain Construction Company pertaining to its work on the maintenance building and sports complex.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the superintendent, with the input and assistance of legal counsel, be given the discretion to file a lawsuit against Rocky Mountain Construction Company pertaining to its work on the maintenance building and sports complex. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson. Aye. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Turner.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.16, retainment of legal counsel.
I move to retain Miller Farmer Carlson Law as additional legal counsel for Brush School District.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to retain Miller Farmer Carlson Law as additional legal counsel for Brush School District. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson. Aye. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Turner.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.17, policy. Is there a motion for 9.17?
I move the BOE policy GCID be granted for final approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the BOE policy GCID be granted final approval. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson. Aye. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Turner.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.18, warming oven. Is there a motion for item 9.18?
I move to approve the purchase of a warming oven for Thompson Primary Kitchen in the amount of $6,609.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of a warming oven for Thompson Primary Kitchen in the amount of $6,609. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson. Aye. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Turner.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 9.19, cafeteria tables.
I move to approve the purchase of 8 cafeteria tables for Beaver Valley for a max cost of $20,973.44.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of 8 cafeteria tables for Beaver Valley for a maximum of $20,973.44. Is there any debate?
Clarification, the funds for this purchase will come out of our food service fund, correct?
Is there any other debate? There's no further debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson. Aye. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tadalini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Turner.
Aye. Motion passes. Next regular board meeting will be May 19th at 6 p.m. And do you have any clarifications from the meeting, Mrs. Cody? Does any board member have any clarifications? Does any board member hear anything during this meeting that you feel needs to be addressed in policy? Or is there any items that should be added to a future meeting agenda?
I think based on the motion on the Stewart Water share, that should be added to our board business document. I'm sure.
An annual review?
Would our timing be better a little earlier in the year?
Yeah, ideally, yeah.
Like February?
Yeah.
Be addressed in February?
January, February, maybe start the conversation in
Yeah.
January, make a decision in February.
Anything else? There's no further business. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you, Brandy.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Brandy.
Really? Okay, I'll remember that next time because I was like, kept looking like.
Poor Brandy started, she kept sounding froggier.
I know. She did. Poor Brandy. So good. She hung in there with all